listening to This Week in Big Sky Football, a comprehensive look at all this week's action in Big Sky Football. Now here's your host, Scott Garrard.
And welcome on in. It's another episode of This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm Scott Garrard. As we reach the half point of the college football season, a lot of great games to break down, teams with big wins, even bigger performances, and we're going to break it all down for you this week. Great list of guests, including Southern Utah coach DeMario Warren, Montana linebacker Josh Buss, and as always, we'll wrap things up with Stats Craig Haley. We'll get out to Southern Utah coach DeMario Warren here in a moment as he'll take us inside that Thunderbirds meeting room as they get ready for a showdown against Weber State. First off, let's look at the games that took place this previous weekend. Speaking of the Wildcats of Weber State, dominating home victory over Montana State on a game that was seen on Root Sports. Weber State quarterback Jadarian Clark throwing for 4 touchdown passes. Wildcats scored touchdowns on the first 5 drives. Wildcats, don't look now, 3-0 in conference play. If you thought Montana's win over Mississippi Valley State was impressive, how about this 68-7 victory over Sacramento State as the Grizz are on a roll. Brady Gustafson throwing for 4 scores in the game. Grizz jump all over the Hornets from start to finish. They're 2-1 in league play with that win. Northern Arizona continued its winning streak with a 55-7 victory over Idaho State. Home win for the Lumberjacks in that one. NAU quarterback Blake Kemp throwing for over 300 yards and 4 scores, and the Lumberjacks now have 2 straight wins, moving to 2-2 in league play. Bad weather in the Pacific Northwest. Cal Poly, though, was ready for it. Mustangs racked up points like crazy. 55-35 victory over Portland State. 4 players rushing for over 100 yards. Cal Poly 2-1 with a showdown against Montana after that win. UC Davis earned its first conference win of the season. Aggies picked up a win over Northern Colorado, 34-21. UC Davis had to come from behind to pick up that first league win. Northern Colorado now 1-2 in Big Sky play. And finally, North Dakota with a 45-23 victory over Southern Utah. Close game for much of the contest until North Dakota quarterback Keaton Studsrud got warmed up, throwing for 2 fourth-quarter scores, giving the Fighting Hawks the advantage. UND 4-0 halfway through league play with the defending champion Thunderbirds now at 2-2. Speaking of Southern Utah, let's go out to the phones. Welcome in the head coach of the Southern Utah Thunderbirds, DeMario Warren. Coach, how you doing?
Good, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's always a pleasure and an honor to catch up with you. You've had 2 of the toughest conference road trips in the Big Sky this season, going to Montana and then to North Dakota. How difficult is that for your team to try to rally around and play well in those kind of venues with that kind of travel?
Yeah, it's been a challenge for us. We got a team that wanted to do some big things this year, and we got put in some situations that I really felt that we've grown from. We had 2 great opportunities to go on the road versus ranked opponents, and I think we're getting better. We played both of those teams well in the first half, and against Montana, we got really put out the game in the third quarter. In this game, we ended up coming out in the third quarter even after a breakdown right before the half to give up 7 points that really wasn't necessary. We came out strong and scored on the first drive and kept the game close into the fourth quarter. So I think our team's growing, our team's learning and maturing. So I'm excited and very proud of what the guys have been able to do on the road so far this year.
You're 3-3, 6 games into your first year as a head coach at Southern Utah. I remember talking to a coach who was explaining what it was like to be a first-time head coach. He said it was like drinking from a fire hose. What's it been like for you trying to, obviously capture the magic that this team had last year, but also try to figure out what it's like to be a head coach at this level?
Yeah, I think that's a great description, but I think you just got to focus one day at a time. Today's Tuesday, and we're trying to get a game plan ready to go out and practice, and that's the thing you learn. You kind of have to block out all the distractions and really focus in one day at a time until you get all this head coaching stuff figured out. So we're working our butts off. We're not where we want to be, but again, I think we're getting better, and we're able to play with any team in the country right now.
We had your quarterback, Patrick Tyler, on the show earlier this season. He talked about how Cedar City is a great community to go to and where they can focus on school and playing football. Does that environment help you when you're bringing kids into this city and this community to try to just focus on academics, focus on football, and become better men?
Definitely. I mean, you get to pick the guys that are going to fit your community, and we pick guys that really love football and want to get an education, and so it kind of narrows our spectrum a little bit of what we're looking for, and we're finding high character guys around the state of Utah and just the bordering states that want to come in here and play hard and get an education. So it's been a great group of kids that Coach Lamb's brought in the last couple of years, and we're trying to continue that.
In your college career at UC Davis, you were a running back, but now you've got that defensive mindset as well. What's it been like making that transition from playing, on one side of the ball and then also being a focus on another side of the ball as a head coach and really trying to put this team together?
Yeah, I mean, it gives me some insight on both sides of the ball. It's been good to coach defense for the last 8 years and know schematically what's sound, what's not sound. And then I've always had the offensive mindset of just passing concepts, protections, things like that. So my main goal and what I've always tried to do as a coach is make people better. And so being the head coach now, I'm just trying to give the assistant coaches the tools to be as great as they can be. And we got a great staff. I don't have to have my thumb on them all the time. They work their butts off, and they got some great ideas. And so I just try to give them the tools, some insight of some data of what's going on their side of the ball, and they make the decisions on what's going to happen out there, and I just try to steer them in the right direction.
You were an assistant at Southern Utah before becoming the head coach. This week you're hosting Weber State, so you know how important this in-state rivalry really is. What does it mean to Southern Utah when you step out on the field and you're taking on Weber State?
Yeah, this is a newly found rival. I mean, they've been our in-state rivals for a long time. We've been playing when we first got here, and so when we joined the Big Sky and we play them every single year, it's been a huge rivalry. And Jay Hill's done a great job of turning that program around the last couple of years, and I know they're going to be hungry for a win. They're 3-0 in conference, won 4 games in a row, and they're on the same trajectory as we were last year. So this is going to be a great physical game. We're 3-3, they're 4-2, and it's going to be a battle to kind of see where our season go after this point. And I expect a highly competitive, highly physical, highly emotional game on Saturday.
What are some of the things that jump out at you when you look at Weber State on film?
Just the talent level that they've been able to get there. They got a lot of guys that look the part, that fly around. They play fast, physical football, and they're well coached. So they got a lot of juniors and seniors from Jay Hill's first couple of recruiting classes that are starting to show up on film, and so it's a really, really good football team, and that they're starting to get noticed around the country as well.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time. Good luck this weekend. We look forward to catching up with you again very soon.
Thanks for having me.
You got it. DeMario Warren, the head coach of the Southern Utah Thunderbirds. We'll take a quick break, come back, and then you will hear from Montana linebacker Josh Buss. We'll also review your Root Sports Players of the Week as well. Stay here. You're listening to another edition of This Week in Big Sky Football.
NCAA Division I FCS football is a game of perseverance, integrity, passion, character, and sportsmanship. As he works to honor the game, every FCS student-athlete grows in his responsibilities as a student and as a member of his campus and community. Dedicated to personal growth and success in the classroom, the NCAA Division I FCS, every down, every day.
The Big Sky Conference has a new app. Search Big Sky Conference on the App Store and Google Play and download the new free Big Sky Conference app. Watch live conference events, connect with Big Sky social media accounts, and access premium exclusive content. The Big Sky Conference app, now available for free on the App Store and Google Play.
Welcome back to This Week in Big Sky Football.
Segment number 2 here on This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm Scott Garrard. Here in a moment, we're going to announce your Root Sports Players of the Week. Also, Montana linebacker Josh Buss, who may have picked up a little hardware this weekend, coming up here in just a moment. First, though, the Big Sky Conference app is out, and you need to download that bad boy. All kinds of great exclusive content, streaming events, other cool connections. Go to the App Store or Google Play, type in Big Sky Conference, and download that app absolutely for free. All right, let's reveal our Root Sports Big Sky Players of the Week. North Dakota quarterback Keaton Studsrud is your Root Sports Offensive Player of the Week, throwing for 282 yards, 4 touchdowns, including 2 in the fourth quarter, utilizing 7 different receivers with every touchdown going to a separate receiver. Again, UND with that 45-23 victory over Southern Utah, and they are 4-0 in conference play. UC Davis kicker Matt Blair is your Root Sports Special Teams Player of the Week. Made 2 field goals in a 34-21 victory for the Aggies over Northern Colorado. UC Davis picking up its first conference win. And finally, and our next guest, Montana linebacker Josh Buss is your Root Sports Big Sky Defensive Player of the Week. 10 tackles, 4.5 tackles for a loss, and a sack. And the Grizz beat up on Sacramento State. Final score there, 68-7. Root Sports is your official television partner of the Big Sky Conference. This week's Root Sports Big Sky Game of the Week features Eastern Washington traveling to Bozeman to take on one of the Big Sky's stingiest defenses in the Montana State Bobcats. That game kicks off at noon on Root Sports. All right, let's go out to the phones. Welcome in again your Defensive Player of the Week in the Big Sky and the Big Sky Conference, Montana linebacker Josh Buss. Josh, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Thanks for joining the program. First off, you guys have had 2 weekends of absolutely incredible football. You're scoring lots of points defensively. You're doing some incredible things as well. Does it feel like you guys are just hitting your groove right now at this point in the season?
We're trying to. The coaches preach, get better every week, no matter who the opponent is, and so that's our main goal going into every week. We all have the same focus, the same end goal. And, we all have the same mentality of how we want to get there. So just improve every single week and throughout the whole entire season.
Seems like your defense is really taking it to the next level as well with a new defensive coordinator. What's it been like playing for this coach, and what kind of changes have you seen up there in Montana with him?
Coach Seymour is an unbelievable coach. So much respect for him and all the coaching staff, and I think I can say that for all the defensive players, all the players on the team, even the game plans and the schemes and everything that he comes with every week. It's unreal, and we all, like I said, we respect him, and so when he gives us a game plan, we do our best, to focus on that and execute that at the best of our abilities.
So let's learn a little bit more about your story. How did you end up playing at Montana? I know you're an Idaho guy out of the Boise area, correct?
Yes, sir. Played running back for Mountain View High School in Boise. Kind of got recruited to Weber State and U of I. Sorry about that. Got recruited to Weber State, U of I. Some preferred walk-ons here and there, and then I got offered from Montana actually. Kind of middle of the season, and came up here for an official visit, and immediately fell in love with it. The atmosphere of the stadium. I came up for the Weber State Montana game on my official, and the atmosphere and all the fans and what the coaching staff had to preach and how they ran the program and everything is exactly where I wanted to be. So as soon as I was on my official, I committed right there and was looking forward to it.
Did they tell you at that point that they wanted you to play on the defensive side of the ball, or did that come later?
No, that was actually that was the plan. Coach Ty Gregorak, no, he didn't recruit me. Coach Cookus did. But yeah, the whole time it was linebacker, which was kind of different. Playing running back and offense only all through high school. But I was excited to get up here and start learning the new position and everything.
So what's that transition been like when you play offense in high school and they come in and ask you to play on the defensive side of the ball? What's that like for a player?
It was a big change, and when I first got here, I was only 180 pounds, right around there. So it wasn't big at all. And, came in with, like you said, no defense experience. I didn't really know how to, read the offensive line, read offensive pictures in general and stuff like that, just because I've never done it. And so it was a big learning curve during fall camp that first year. And then, I redshirted and ended up getting shoulder surgery. So, it's kind of a blessing in disguise almost, because I really got to, sit down and learn the playbook and learn the schemes and all that kind of stuff, during that redshirt year while I had surgery.
You're a beast when it comes to, so many levels of this game, but you seem to rack up a ton of tackles for losses. How much of that is just, brute strength and your ability to just blow up a play, or how much of it is it film work and kind of diagnosing how a play is going to go before the ball is snapped?
Well, honestly, I have to give 100% credit, to Coach Seymour and the game plan. He calls the right call, right into what they're doing. All credit goes to him. He puts us all in the best situations possible. And it's kind of a change-up, because, a lot of this season I've been, up on the line, blitzing, off the edge and stuff like that. And so not a super heavy guy, not a super huge guy at all. And so I think my strength is my speed, so I try to use that to the best, the best of my ability, just to, get a speed rush around this edge or something like that. But it all goes back to Coach Seymour and the right call at the right time and the game plan he comes up with.
You guys head out on the road this week. You got two really tough road games, starting with Northern Arizona this week. What are some of the things you see out of Northern Arizona when you watch that team on film?
It's what our defense is built for. As a defensive perspective, kind of the spread offense. Their quarterback is hurt, so trying to figure out if he's coming back or not this week. We get our game plan, our scouting reports, and game plan and all that kind of stuff today in meetings before practice. So it'll be nice to look into it a little bit more specifically. We know they 11 personnel they've lately been trying to run the ball. So we're going to try to execute the game plan all week, learn it. So then on Saturday when we go out there, we can play fast, not really have to think too much, just because everyone on the team knows exactly what they're supposed to do and where they're supposed to be.
Well, I know you're still, relatively young in your football playing career there at Montana, and I know you want to be playing this game for a long, long time. But when this all wraps up, do you have plans? What are you majoring in? What do you want to do when the playing days are done?
Right now, I'm a business management major, and I think what the plan is going to be is I want to be a football coach.
Nice.
See if I can do some kind of get something right out of college, and kind of learn and work my way up. So I think that's the goal. This is a game I love. And I do it all day, every day, and I love it. So hopefully we can keep doing that for time after my football career ends.
Well, Josh, we appreciate it. We look forward to chatting with you again down the line and probably as a coach here pretty soon because you got the lingo down, man. You handle these interviews great. So you already have that part of the job down.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
All right. Have a good one. Good luck. That's Josh Buss, Montana linebacker, here on This Week in Big Sky Football. And we come back, we'll outline all the games you got coming up this weekend, also where you can watch those games, and we'll chat with Stats Craig Haley. It's all straight ahead. You're listening to another edition of This Week in Big Sky Football.
The Big Sky Conference has a new app. Search Big Sky Conference on the App Store and Google Play and download the new free Big Sky Conference app. Watch live conference events, connect with Big Sky social media accounts, and access premium exclusive content. The Big Sky Conference app, now available for free on the App Store and Google Play.
NCAA Division I FCS football is a game of perseverance, integrity, passion, character, and sportsmanship. As he works to honor the game, every FCS student-athlete grows in his responsibilities as a student and as a member of his campus and community. Dedicated to personal growth and success in the classroom, the NCAA Division I FCS, every down, every day.
Welcome back to This Week in Big Sky Football.
All right, final segment of the show. You're listening to another edition of This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm Scott Garrard. Austin Horton, as always, makes the magic happen putting the show together, as well as executive producer of This Week in Big Sky Football, John Oglesby. All right, we'll be joined in just a moment by Stats Craig Haley. First, we want to give out the game schedule for this upcoming week. Your Root Sports Big Sky Game of the Week comes to you from Bozeman, Montana, where Montana State hosts Eastern Washington. That game will kick off at noon Mountain and is available on DirecTV's Audience Network as well as Root Sports. All right, Sacramento State travels to Northern Colorado. Both programs trying to break a recent skid. That game will kick off at 1 o'clock Mountain and is available on Comcast Entertainment Television as well as WatchBigSky.com. North Dakota travels to Idaho State. It's the Fighting Hawks trying to stay unbeaten in conference play. Game kicks off at 2:30 Mountain and is also available on WatchBigSky.com. Montana traveling to Northern Arizona. The Grizz try to keep it rolling. That game kicking off at 4 o'clock Pacific and is available on Fox Sports Arizona and WatchBigSky.com. Weber State and Southern Utah in an FCS battle for the Beehive State. Weber State on a roll. That game kicks off at 6 o'clock Mountain and is available on WatchBigSky.com. And finally, UC Davis traveling to play Cal Poly, both coming off conference wins. In-state battle kicks off at 6 o'clock Pacific time, and as always, a recurring theme here, you can watch that game on WatchBigSky.com. Remember, you can find conference football, basketball, volleyball, soccer, and more streaming for free at WatchBigSky.com, or you can download the Big Sky Conference app. Get them anywhere you go directly on your mobile device. Again, just log into your Google Play or iPhone or iTunes and download the Big Sky Conference app. All right, let's go out to the phones. Welcome in the biggest deal in the world of FCS football. He's the man, the myth, the legend. You know him as Craig Haley. Craig, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm loving that you got all these teams in the mix in the Big Sky. It's just a great race every year.
It really is, and a lot of individual teams and individual efforts we need to talk about. But let's start with Eastern Washington. The Eagles didn't play, but they're receiving first-place votes after North Dakota State tripped up last weekend. Do the Eagles deserve to be in the conversation for that top spot?
You know, they do, Scott. I mean, considering how well they've played against a demanding non-conference schedule, especially, that's going to factor in when the playoff selection committee seeds the field. You know, I think they're in the conversation at the same time. North Dakota State, Sam Houston State, Jacksonville State, they probably have just as much claim to being number one. You know, obviously NDSU beat the Eagles last month in overtime. I just think it's real close for that top spot, and all four of those teams can make a case.
How surprised were you with that South Dakota State win over North Dakota State?
Well, South Dakota State's passing game has gotten so relentless this year. Their quarterback, Taron Christian, has just been a ball of fire, and I don't think it was that surprising, only because North Dakota State's young in the secondary, so it's a rivalry game. Obviously, NDSU had won 8 straight times this decade against the Jackrabbits, but I thought it was a possibility going in.
Interesting. All right, so let's go a little bit back to the Big Sky Conference. Montana earned its second blowout victory in as many weeks, and there may not be playing great competition, but the Grizz stock keeps rising in a lot of voters' minds. What are your thoughts on the Grizz?
Well, yeah, they certainly do keep rising their stock. I mean, they're playing well, and that's what matters most. I mean, obviously, I think some Grizz fans are a little frustrated that their team keeps hovering around number 10 in the national polls and not higher. But that is still lofty status to be top 10. I mean, wins over quality opponents will get rewarded in the end, and the Grizz have their chance here over the next 2 weeks, especially with Northern Arizona and Eastern Washington on the road. So I think their stock is on the rise.
North Dakota picks up another victory, this time beating one of the league's better teams and defending champ Southern Utah. Tell us a little bit about what you think of UND and if they can keep this thing rolling.
Well, yeah, they've earned first place right now. I mean, obviously they've been on a roll. Those 2 close losses to open the season, that was quality teams. I mean, Stony Brook and then an FBS opponent in Bowling Green. You don't want to get ahead of yourself. I mean, they've been getting it done on both sides of the ball. I mean, we've discussed before that North Dakota is now the team being hunted instead of being the hunter, and that there's a lot of responsibility with that. All it takes is one bad quarter or one bad performance, and you can lose in the Big Sky. So they have to take it week to week, but they've earned the right to be where they're at.
What's in the water out there in North Dakota? They're producing some pretty good football players these days.
I just think we all like to say Bubba.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, moving on to Weber State. I had a chance to chat with their athletic director yesterday. He's thrilled with the way that program's rolling over the last few weeks. But with the victory like they had on Saturday against Montana State, is it time for them to be in the conversation nationally with a potential playoff berth?
Yeah, they're certainly getting closer, to both the top 25 and being a team projected to make the field of 24, the playoffs. I mean, they're in this Big Sky race, and I mean, obviously a big game this week. You look a week ago. I mean, they dominated Montana State. I mean, the score 45 to 27. It probably wasn't even that close. They dominated so much by halftime. I think they're getting better. Their conference schedule is about to get tougher. So, if they win some of those games, those rewards are within reach.
Cal Poly gets on track, a dominating performance against Portland State. Where are the Mustangs on your radar?
Well, I've said it before that I think Cal Poly deserves a higher national ranking than they have. I mean, obviously 17 isn't bad, and they would have taken that going into the season after a year ago. But, they've played a strong schedule. They have, great wins, some close losses. The thing about Cal Poly is they always seem to play to the level of the competition. So, I think in this sense they need to avoid having a letdown against a lesser opponent, and if they don't, they're going to keep winning and not only be in the race, but be off to the playoffs.
All right, so Craig, let's talk some scenarios. Who do you see out of the Big Sky Conference potentially? And I know we still have a lot of football to be played here, but who do you see getting a seed in the playoffs? Who's in that first weekend, and who do you think might be on the outside looking in?
Well, right now, Eastern Washington's clearly a high seed. I'd put them at number 2. I mean, I think Montana is probably in the mix for a seed right now. There's 3 or 4 teams that you can make the case for 7 and 8. I think they're one of them. I think North Dakota and Cal Poly would be in the field for sure. And if you have 4, that's strong for the Big Sky. I mean, we talked about Weber State. I think they're certainly under consideration. And they would get there if they keep winning against the schedule they're about to face. I think they're a little shy of an at-large bid now, but I do think, yes, I mean, you have 4 quality teams right now in the Big Sky that, are really making waves.
Greg Haley of Stats joining us here on This Week in Big Sky Football. All right, so I want to get an update on your top 5. Did you move North Dakota State down after that loss, or do you still keep them at number 1?
Well, maybe I'm in the minority because the polls went with Sam Houston, but I can't see dropping North Dakota State from number 1 when they lost to a rival, South Dakota State, on a last-second touchdown. After they swept such a strong non-conference schedule, including the OT win over Eastern Washington. I know Sam Houston is number 1 now, but their schedule has been weak. They've only beaten one team that's 500. Everybody else has a losing record on their resume. It's not all their fault because their FBS opponent, New Mexico, pulled out on them their schedule game. So I'd still go NDSU 1, Eastern Washington 2, just because of their schedule and the way they keep winning. Jacksonville State 3, Sam Houston. But as I mentioned, it's close. I think all 4 teams have a case. I think Richmond you can throw into the top 5 now after the way they blasted Villanova, but it's so close at the top, and it makes great conversation, no doubt.
It really does. This is going to be a fantastic end of the regular season, and we got a lot more football to be played, thank goodness. But Craig, always a pleasure to catch up with you. Thanks so much for your time, and let's do it again next week.
I appreciate it, Scott.
That's Craig Haley from Stats here on This Week in Big Sky Football. One of the greats. Also, big thanks to Southern Utah coach DeMario Warren. Also, Montana linebacker Josh Buss. Also, as always, big thanks to Austin Horton and the executive producer of This Week in Big Sky Football, John Oglesby. I'm Scott Gerard. Download that Big Sky Conference app. Enjoy all the games on the app as well as watchbigsky.com, and we'll be back with you next week for another edition of This Week in Big Sky Football.